YouTube, this is Detroit Allycat. I have not been on YouTube for a hot second, so if this is your first time to my channel, I cover everything true crime, everything spooky, any weird miscellaneous things. I love horror movies, I love anything haunted, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if those things excite you, then come with me. Let's talk about spooky things. Without further ado, let's get spooky. So this video is going to be kind of weird because, one, I don't think I've been on YouTube for over a year. So I'm super awkward and uncomfortable because I'm staring at myself. Hey self. Well, hey you, whoever is over there. Also, I have to relearn everything, so I apologize. I'm just gonna go with the basics. I'm gonna use my phone. Our phones are like these super high tech things. They're pretty cool, so I'm gonna give it a try. Hopefully it turns out okay. And the other reason that this is gonna be kind of a weird video is because I made a YouTube video last year and never published it. And usually I would just like scrap that kind of material because it was just here and who cares or whatever. But this is actually really cool because I was on site. So last year I ended up going into Providence, Rhode Island, and I did a trip to Conimicut, and then I also went to Salem, Massachusetts, which I got to find out a whole bunch of stuff about all those areas. But honestly, to be completely honest, one of my favorite areas was Providence, Rhode Island. I do have the video of the location we're going to talk about, and I'm going to put it in. I think I'm going to put it in right now so you can watch it and I can explain it. Hi YouTube, this is Detroit Allycat. Okay, so we're in Rhode Island right now, and I stumbled upon this beach. It's called Conimicut Beach or Beach Point or something like that. I don't know. I had a really weird feeling the second I got here. And there's like this sand barge with like all these lights and flashing things. But what's really weird is there is all these memorials all over the beach. And it just has this really weird feeling. And this lighthouse has a really weird feeling. So I go ahead and Google this, and there apparently on 1922 was a murder-suicide in that lighthouse, and on this beach there were a ton of murder-suicides and drownings, and this is like supposed to be one of the most haunted areas in Rhode Island, and we just like stumbled upon it. So I don't want to be a jerk and walk around and videotape this place because I am not from this area. And the last thing people want to see is somebody coming into an area and walking around and just talking about it. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be too rude, but I wasn't prepared to do that. So I'm just going to take some pictures. I'm going to figure out what exactly happened here and report back on my YouTube. I just think it's really cool. It's really pretty, but it definitely has a very eerie feeling. I'm going to take you over a couple memorials. I'm going to be kind of quiet because I just don't want to look like a ghost tourist. I don't know. I just don't like to be disrespectful, and I feel like I'm being a bit disrespectful right now. So every single one of these benches is a memorial over here. And then here's like this cross, two crosses. I think it's one cross, but it's got a sign on it, and I think this is a father. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna tell you what it is. But there's some things that happened here, like really weird things. Like there's those benches or memorials. I don't know what it is about this little area, but it's just got a really weird feeling. It obviously is a historic site because there is a historic plaque over there, and then it talks about how that lighthouse was built in 18 something, and it goes on to say it's made of cast iron and all these things. But what was really interesting was the murder suicide that occurred into that lighthouse, and the lighthouse, whatever you guys call the guy who runs the lighthouse. Anyway, hopefully I'll get some really cool pictures and I'll do a really cool thing about this. I just stumbled upon it. I'm flying out tomorrow, going back to Detroit, and I was like, you know, I might get some footage while I'm here. Sandbars are really dangerous to begin with because they make you think that it's not that serious, and then you'll be out there and then the tide will come in and pull you out. And as you can see, there are people out there right now and they don't seem to be bothered by that light right there. If it's flashing, it's letting you know that the tide's coming in, and it's flashing right now at this moment, and it freaks me out just because there's been so many deaths here. It's cool to see, but it's also very eerie. Like, do you see that line right there in the ocean? That's where the sandbar kind of lines up. I don't know a lot of maritime facts or science, but I just know that this is a very dangerous place because of the fact that it looks like it's so shallow and it has a rip tide coming in from the ocean. So once again, I'm in Warwick, or very close to Providence, Rhode Island, and I will do a little like a thing about this, and hopefully I'll have more facts for you, but I'm here now, so I just wanted to take a quick check this place out. All right, bye. So now that you've watched that video, which I hope I was able to hook up to this video, I want to go ahead and explain some things. We went to this little tiny, it was like a park. It was our last day being in Rhode Island, and I just wanted to go around and see what there was. I have to tell you, I know this isn't about spookiness, but the people of Rhode Island are so nice. I'm from Detroit. I'm from the Michigan area, and we're mean here. I don't know what else to say. We are just not nice compared to the rest of the world. Like, I have been to so many different states, and even compared to California, Michigan is bar none one of the meanest states that you could ever go to. We don't wave, we don't talk. So when you go to another state and people start acting this really nice, it's actually very shocking. And Rhode Island is definitely one of those states that I felt very, like, I loved it. People were talking to me and they were being so kind and so generous. And I said to them, I said, do you have a lot of people that come here and say that you guys are nice? And they said yes, but they didn't get it. But if you ever get a chance to go somewhere, go to Rhode Island, because, like, it's just like this small town that you never knew you needed to go to visit. So we were in Providence, and the last day before we flew out, I wanted to go around the coast. I'd never been around the northern coast, so I wanted to see what it looked like. And we ended up going to this place. It's really hard to pronounce. It's called I gotta look at my notes for that. It's called you can't even say it right when you see it. It's Conimicut Point in Warwick, Rhode Island. Now, when we got there, it just had this really weird little feel to it. And we were walking around and we saw all of these, like, memorials and, like, these park benches with these names on it. And I was like, why is this? And I thought for sure the people had died there. So we just kept going and walking around. And then at one point we reached a sand barge. Now, I've heard about sand barges, but I've never actually seen one. I've never seen one that was as dangerous as this sand barge is. So when you first head up to the sand barge, you see a bunch of, like, crosses, and that's kind of, like, unsettling. And then you walk down, and in the video that I showed you, you probably see it, they have lights flashing when the tide comes in. So what happens is, I'm sure you know what a sand barge is, but I'm going to explain this one in particular. So there's two different points of when where the ocean currents come in, and it makes this kind of like, you know, wave, water, power thing. Anyway, so it'll be like a very shallow beach 1 second, and then before you know it, like within seconds, the tide comes in and it can just like suck you out to the ocean. And it's crazy because you'll be walking on a beach, and then all of a sudden that beach will be like 3 feet deep, and not only will it be 3 feet deep, but the undercurrent is so strong that it will pull you underwater and you won't be able to get up and breathe. And so there are a lot of drownings that occur, especially at this sand barge. And the reason that they have these lights, and they have these signs like, warning, when the lights go on, please remove yourself from this area. It's extremely dangerous, which nobody pays attention to, which we noticed right off the bat. And the weird thing is when you're standing there, you just get this feeling like something's not right with it. It's very beautiful. And then when you look all the way to the right of the sand barge, there's this like miniature tiny little lighthouse, and it's just the eeriest feeling. And so I just started taking video of it because I had no idea like what was up with that area, but I kind of felt like there was something. So we're walking along, and this is part of the reason I know that the people from Rhode Island are so kind. No offense, Michigan. Like, I've lived here all my life. You know, we are what we are. We're Northerners. We're hard because, you know, winter is coming. So this lady is walking her dog, and I just ask her, I'm like, what are all these memorials? And it turns out this lady runs a doggy daycare, and she is walking her little dog named Cha-Cha. And this woman is so adorable, and you'll be able to hear her voice a little bit. I'll play that video for you too. And I'm not gonna, I didn't take a picture of Cha-Cha or her because I didn't want to be intrusive. But she begins to tell me about the park. 100 years or something?
Even Cha-Cha's looking at it. What's that, Cha-Cha? Yeah, so, but it's so funny. Like right now, that swing would be going banging left, right, circles. I'm like, what? And the other swings aren't even moving.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So apparently the memorial benches, that's just what they are. They're memorials. Families come there and they put a memorial on the park so they can come visit their loved ones' memories and sit there and think about them. They didn't die there, nothing like that. It's just like here is this person's bench and I love them. So, but there's more. So she starts talking about the sand barge, and she tells me that a lot of people have died out in the sand barge. And I could tell because there were crosses and stuff and warning signs. And I started looking stuff up about this place, and it is so crazy. The history is so crazy. I'm going to tell you the most recent story about the sand barge. So one of the most recent things I know for right now, there probably could have been something that happened within the last year, was in June 21st, 2021. This young lady's name is very hard to pronounce, and I do hate mispronouncing deceased people's names, so if the family comes on here, I'm so sorry. Her name was Yascarly Martinez. She was 10 years old. She was almost 11, and the undertow took her out, and a father of two, not her father. That was kind of hard figuring out because so many people report so many different things, but a father of two tried to go save her, and he also drowned. And then two other people tried to save them, and they almost drowned, but they were rescued because at that point somebody called the police and they were there. But I guess the sheriff of that county has, like, he's so fed up with that area because it's so dangerous. But unfortunately, that young girl, she died, and she's actually the reason that the lights and the signs and the sand barge are there. And then I started trying to research how many people had actually drowned in the area. And it's like the list just goes on, and it's crazy. But let me tell you some more, because there's more. So when you look at the lighthouse has this eerie feel to it, right? And I was like, there has to be something with the lighthouse. And the lady who was walking her little dog, Cha-Cha, she's like, oh yeah, the murder-suicide. The murder-suicide? So she tells me that this guy kills his brother and the whole family. I don't know. It was a big story. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to research it. I'm going to find out what the truth is. And I have it for you. So the actual little, the lighthouse, it was called Conimicut Point Lighthouse. No. Conimicut Shoal Lighthouse, okay? And it was built in 1870 something or something like that. I don't have the exact date. I'm sorry. But I'm going to tell you the story. There were so many different keepers that stayed there. And then what would happen is that they would, try to tell the boats that are coming in that the sand barge was there because it was extremely dangerous. And that's another thing. There were multiple accounts of boats getting stuck in the sand barge. And I could tell you story after story after story about that. But this is pretty significant. So in 1922, Ellsworth Smith was the keeper. He was hired to be the keeper. He had a wife named Nellie, and he had two sons. He had Russell and he had Robert. Now, here's the interesting thing about Nellie and Ellsworth. So when they were married, Ellsworth was 40 years old and Nellie was 16. Now, this is like 1920s, so I guess that's not odd, but the age difference and maturity difference is huge. So they were together for 6 years before the incident happened. And basically what happened was, Mr. Keeper Smith, that was his name, Ellsworth Smith, he wanted to make sure that the whole family worked together as a family unit at the lighthouse, and they all stayed at the lighthouse and they didn't go to the shore. And apparently they would have like these social gatherings on the shore at the little village, I guess Conimicut Village. But he did not want Nellie going because at this point Nellie's 22, he's 47, and the word is that he was a little bit jealous, which, I could see that. Of course, this is all hearsay. But he would not allow her to go socialize, go talk to people, go do anything. She would like beg him and beg him and beg him. And he would be like, no, this is what we're supposed to do. And you have to stay here and you have to take care of the children. And if you see a picture of the lighthouse is so small. There's like no land to run around on. It's like basically living in small quarters. And so for a 22-year-old girl, I can imagine how she must have felt being forced to be in this small little house with no reprieve with these two kids. And so she became what they said, they had like these old-timey terms for being depressed. But she was depressed. And she even told him, she's like, I'm going to kill myself. And he was like, no, you won't. And stop being immature. And 1922, they didn't have very much about mental health. I'm probably sure at this point I have said a word that's going to demonetize my video, but that's okay because it's the first time I've been on YouTube for a year, so I don't care. But, so, Nellie's depressed, she's feeling anxious, she's feeling like she wants to unalive herself, and her husband, the keeper, he's being a 1922 man and saying, no, you toughen up and let's just get through this. So the incident that happened, here I'm going to flip my page So the incident that happened was on June 9th, 1922. You can go online and they have all different times that it occurred, but I'm going to take an estimate. So around 9 a.m., Mr. Elmsworth, is it Elmsworth? It is Elmsworth. Ellsworth. That's such an interesting name, right? Like, do you ever hear of anybody named Ellsworth anymore? Ellsworth Smith decides that he needs to go out and get supplies. So he tells his wife, hey, I'm going to go get some supplies. I'll be right back. She's like, oh, okay, no problem. She's playing with the kids, acting like everything's okay. So back in the day, you know, instead of antibiotics or Tylenol or whatever else you have in your medicine cabinet, they had mercury. Mercury. That's a true story. Mercury. And they had mercury at the lighthouse in their medicine cabinet. So apparently all you have to do is take 3 pills of mercury to kill an adult. So they have that in there. Mr. Smith, Keeper Smith, takes off. Nellie is like, okay, this is it. I've had enough. My life as a house, like a lighthouse woman, is over. She gets the mercury. She tells the kids, like, hey, I need you to take some of this candy. It'll be delicious. So she gets both of the kids to take the candy. The 2-year-old takes the candy. The 2-year-old's name was Russell. He takes the candy, no problem. He goes upstairs. He goes to sleep. It's the end for little Russell. But Robert is sitting there trying to eat the candy. She's watching him. When I'm saying candy, I mean mercury. She's watching him. And she takes hers and she passes out. Well, he can't take the mercury because he said it was bitter, so he spit it out. So little Robert just watching his mom die, and he's waiting. Around 4 o'clock, Ellsworth Smith comes in, and he notices that little Robert is very pale, so he runs to go see his 2-year-old who won't wake up. He goes to find his wife, who also won't wake up. He grabs his 5-year-old son. He throws him in the little rowboat or whatever boat that they have. He goes back to town. They give him an antidote. I did not know that they had an antidote for mercury. I thought that, like, once mercury was in your body, that was it. But apparently there is an antidote for mercury. Like, I don't know. Wasn't there, like, a story about Mercury and the Mad Hatter, and that's the reason why he was mad? I digress. We'll go into that another day. Apparently, the little guy got an antidote. So he was okay. So Mr. Ellsworth takes his son to his sister's house to recover, and he retires from being a lighthouse guy ever again because, you know, his whole family died. But what I find interesting is the folklore around the area says that he's the one who killed the whole family, but it was actually her. And also, there was a newspaper article about the incident, and in the newspaper article in the incident, they said that Nellie Smith was 35 years old when she was in fact 22. So I said that it was kind of normal for back in the day for a 16-year-old to marry a 40-year-old. But there must have been some kind of a thought about that, or like a stigma, is that right? A stigma about it, or a prejudice, or I don't even know. Because they lied about it. So they had an inkling that that wasn't the greatest thing. And then, so that's the story of the lighthouse. And apparently people who stay in the lighthouse hear a child laughing and a mother crying. That's what they say. I'm just going to tell you from my experience, and I do have pictures of the lighthouse that I took with my phone. It gives you an eerie feeling. And it gave me an eerie feeling before I even knew that story, the real story. And then I talked to the lady from Rhode Island, who I just cannot tell you how adorable this woman was with her little dog Cha-Cha, who, by the way, she told me I could not pet because if I tried to pet him, he would bite me. And I said, are you sure? Because he's like this little tiny cute dog. She said, oh yes, he would definitely bite you. And I was like, he's so cute. And she's like, that's how he gets ya. I just thought you would like that. But then she tells me about the playground at Conimicut area. Conimicut Park Point. Conimicut. I'm never gonna say it right. I don't think you can say it right. If you can say it right, tell me in the little area where you tell me things that you can say it right and I'm an idiot. I love that, by the way. So she said that there was a problem with the playground, and I was like, tell me a problem with the playground. And she said that the playground was haunted, and she was like so serious. She's like, the playground is haunted, and I guess the sheriff, he was already annoyed with the drownings and stuff, but he said he was angry at the playground. Well, let me tell you why he was angry at the playground. So apparently there's this swing that just swings. Something about a little girl haunting. She fell off a slide. I feel like I hear this story about every single playground, but she fell off a slide. I couldn't find anything about it, but the swing is haunted and it goes back and forth. We took video of the swing and the playground. Well, we didn't take video of the swing. I'll tell you why in a minute, but I'm going to put the video of the playground here. Okay, apparently we just talked to one of the locals. This beach is really haunted. That empty spot where there's a swing spot is very, I guess it was so bad that it would just swing crazy and wild, and the sheriff department came and took it down, and people would come here and take pictures of it because it was so crazy. So I'm gonna do a story on that too, but there's the haunted swing set. If you hear that this like footage is kind of choppy, it's because I'm just finding stuff out as I'm here. Apparently there's also a haunted amusement park. We're about to go there, which is absolutely crazy, but wish me luck. Okay, you're back. All right, and so the swing keeps going, and they actually had ghost hunters out videotaping it, and the people in the neighborhood were calling the police, and everybody came out and was just watching this swing. Like, none of the other swings were going, but this swing was going. And so the sheriff, he got so mad because he needed like all the hype about the haunted park to stop, that he cut the swing down. He took it down because it was haunted, and nobody plays in the park because it's haunted. And this is all within like, and this park is not big. This park is not big. I will show you, you will have seen the video of it. And apparently there are more haunted places in Rhode Island that I got told about. And one was like this abandoned roller coaster place. What do you call that? You know, like Cedar Point, but not Cedar Point. Well, they had one of those, a theme park, and it was abandoned, and we went and visited that. And there's like all these, like, Rhode Island's got some stuff going on. And so I might make a video of that because I took a bunch of footage, but I definitely did not want this footage and this story to go in the archives because it was so interesting and so cool. And I hope I didn't bore you, and I hope my editing will be really good. Again, like I said, I'm Detroit Allycat. I would love it if you stuck around with me. I love YouTube. I love making videos. I promise I will work on the quality of the video, even though I feel like, you know, I'm like at the bottom of the barrel of the YouTubers, so I can do what I want. But I would love if you subscribed, left a like, gave me a comment, told me if you thought I was awesome and I should keep going. Don't be afraid to say that I suck. I don't care. It is what it is. It's great to be back. I can't wait to make some crazy, spooky stories up. Tell me what you think about the Rhode Island Conimicut Park Point at Warwick, Rhode Island. All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful day, evening. Remember, stay safe, stay spooky. Bye.